Hello everyone, welcome back to another session by K21 Academy. Today our expert will be discussing about domain 1, that is design identity, governance and monitoring solutions. So let's get into the video.
Now, let's get started over here for the designing and governance solution. So we are going to talk about Azure Active Directory, authentication and authorization, policies, governance, and your login and the monitoring in this particular section over here. Now, this is the sample question over here. Now, I want you all to concentrate on this now. So you have an Active Directory tenant name contesto.com, and that has a security group name group 1 and is configured for assigned membership. Now, group 1 has 15 members. So in your tenant, there is a AD group. There are 15 members over there and including 20 guest user. So out of 50 members, there are 20 guest user and you need to recommend a solution for evaluating the membership of a group 1. The solution must meet the following requirements. Now, here are the requirements, guys. The evaluation must be repeated automatically every 3 months. So here you would like to conduct an audit, right? That you would like to evaluate that which user should have to have what kind of the role assignment done, because persons will be moving in different projects during that particular duration. So you may want to allow certain access or you may want to revoke certain access as well in between. So you are conducting an audit on this, and every member must be able to report whether they need to be in group 1, or user who report that they do not need to be in group 1 must be removed from group 1 automatically. So you must be remembering that how we used to do that. So user do not report whether they need to be in group 1 must be removed from the group 1 automatically. Now here are the choices, guys, on the basis of that. What should you include in the recommendation, guys? Implement Azure AD identity protection. That is your choice number 1. Choice number 2 is change the membership type of group 1 to the dynamic user. Choice 3rd is create an access review. And choice 4 will be implement your Azure AD privilege identity management over here. So guys, these are 4 choices. Okay guys, so C is the correct answer. People who have marked C are absolutely correct. D, guys, always remember privilege identity access management is a time bound accessibility that you provide, right? So you are not removing the eligibility. That is something that automatically reviewed, right? Over here, we are conducting the audit, whether right people have the right access or not. Privilege identity access management is something that we allow for administrators for a limited duration of time. If you see the question, there are 20 guest members. So guys, let's understand that definitely for the guest user, you will not going to apply the administrative privileges because these are the guest user. There might be some requirement, but usually we avoid such kind of the practices. And if you see the PIM mostly used for the administrator who have the greater access towards the thing. I hope it is clear to everyone. So guys, let's see the explanation over here. That request will be going over here, right? So you need to put an access review. So access review can be self or can be approved by somebody. And that is the reason the answer is C. And here's the explanation, guys, that have reviewers recurring periodically, you will allow them to review this particular access. So you can set up recurring access reviews for the user at a set frequencies such as weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually, and the reviewers will be notified at the start of each review. So reviewers can approve or deny access with a friendly interface with the help of the smart recommendations. I hope this is clear to all. This makes sense. Moving ahead, there is another sample question coming up over here that you are designing your Azure web app that will use your Azure Active Directory for authentication over here. Okay. Now here we need to use an web application which will be using Azure AD authentication service. So you need to recommend a solution to provide users from multiple Azure tenants. So here you need to recommend a solution for the users for your multiple Azure AD tenant to access the API solution must ensure that user use Azure multi-factor authentication. Then they connect to the app one over here. So which two type of objects should you include in the recommendation? And each correct answer presents the part of the solution over here. So Azure AD conditional access policies, that is your choice 1. Choice 2, Azure AD managed identity over here. And choice 3, an identity experience framework policy. Okay, so you will be creating a policy and then you will be assigning for that to the users, or an Azure application security group over here. So guys, your time starts now. And the fourth option is your Azure AD guest accounts, or your endpoint manager app protection policy over here. So here you have to include multi-factor authentication, that let's say if there will be a web application, you have registered that web application in your Azure Active Directory and you want that user to log in, but during the login you want to enable multi-factor authentication where people should be allowed to access from different tenants to that application, but it should ask for multi-factor authentication for all of them. How you will be able to include that? Okay guys, let's see the explanation now. Okay, so the answer is your A and F. So most of you are correct that Azure AD conditional policy with your Azure AD guest accounts. Absolutely guys, because people are coming from the another tenant. Now from the another tenant, if you are allowing the people, there are two ways. Either you will create a username and the password as a guest user, or either you will send an invitation to them so that they will be able to accept that and they can become the part of your tenant, right? So that's how the F is coming over here. And how you want to enable multi-factor authentication. So if you recall guys, in conditional access policy, you have multiple options that you can create such kind of the requirement that people devices what they are using should be compliant, and also what kind of the platform they are using or whether they are coming from the trusted IPs or not, right? And there will be one of the condition that they have to log in through multi-factor authentication, and without multi-factor authentication they won't be able to allow to access the applications. So most of you got the answers correctly. And here's the explanation that your conditional access feature is your Azure Active Directory offers one or several ways that you can use to secure your app and protect a service, and the conditional access enables developer and enterprise customer to protect service in multitude of ways, including over here. Why not the other options? Because in the other options guys, if you see, application security group cannot be the options. The reason behind your application security group is nothing but it's a network level control that you will have through the rules that you create in your network security group. So here there is no AD authentication coming into the picture. If you see, identity experience framework policy, now guys, in order to assign the policy you should have those cross tenant users available in your tenant, right? And then you are assigning a policy, and policies for governance, right? So for the non-compliant user, it will automatically block. There is no thing about your multi-factor authentication associated with that. And your Azure AD managed identity is the identity that you create to assign roles so that two services will be able to communicate. For an example, if there will be a web application and I want to assign a role of that web application, let's say database contributor, so I can enable that identity and then I can assign the role over here. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's move on to the next question. So guys, I hope this answer is clear. Multi-factor authentication allowing only Intune's enrolled devices. So your devices must be compliant over here and restricting user from the local IP. So trusted IP, that part I have already explained over here. Okay, guys, moving forward. Now we're going to talk about the policies over here. Now guys, think from the governance perspective, right? So you are designing a large Azure environment that will contain many subscription. Now you are dealing with, let's say, 20 subscription now, and you plan to use Azure policy as a part of the governance solution, right? So you need to create a policy which can evaluate all the resources that you will be creating in that particular subscription over here. Now, to which three scopes can you assign to your Azure policy definition, and each correct answer present a complete solution over here, right? Now you need to assign a policy over here and creating a policy definition. Now, a management group, a subscription, or Azure Active Directory tenant, what you will use over here, or a resource group, guys. So where you will be assigning that particular policy, guys? Think about the requirement, guys. So to plan to use Azure policy as a part of the governance solution, where you will target. Guys, do we assign any role to the tenant, or do we assign any policy to the tenant level? Okay, guys, let's see the answer over here. And there is one more option, guys. Compute resources. Let's see the answer, guys. A, B, and D. Now, why not C and why not F? Why not E, guys, over here? Guys, remember that hierarchical discussion that we had? Let me go back and let me show you once again that inside your tenant, you can have multiple subscriptions, right? Let's say multiple subscription that you have. And inside the subscription, you will have resource group, which you will be using to group the resources together, right? And then you have a resources like VM or databases, right? Now, in terms of the policy, if you want to assign a policy, either you will be targeting a resource group, either you will target subscription, or if you're dealing with multiple subscription and you want to target any particular policy in multiple subscription, what we use? We use management group over here. Remember that hierarchical discussion, guys? So over here, whenever you will be using, guys, there is nothing called compute groups over here, right? Because the moment you will be creating a compute group, you have to manually group the resources into that particular resource group, right? So the only choice that you will have over there is a resource group only, right? So there is nothing called compute group, right? It is something that has been given, but there is no such group over here exists, right? And we cannot assign any role at a tenant level because tenant is something that whatever you have created will be the part of that any tenant, right? So we don't assign any role in the tenant. We manage through your management group, your resources, because tenants are used to manage users and group of users and the applications associated with that. Your SaaS based authentication and the authorization. Make sense to all? So let's see the explanation over here. That Azure policy evaluate resources in your Azure by comparing the properties of those resources to business rules. And once your business rules have been performed, the policy definition or initiative is assigned to any scope of the resources that Azure support, such as your management group and your subscription and resource group or individual resources. So you can assign the policies to the resources as well, but resources was not listed over there. And that is the reason we have not selected. If there would have been an option for Azure resources, that will be also the part of the answer. But out of the options that we have, we only have three choices: management group, subscription, and resource group. I hope this makes sense to all of them. Yeah. Now, guys, another question. You are designing an Azure governance solution. Now, requirement is that all Azure resources must be easily identified based on the following operational information. Which environment they are. It can be a prod environment or the user acceptance testing environment like your UAT environment, right? Or it can be whether that particular resource have a owner or let's say department and the cost center. So how you will be able to create a policy in order to assign them on the basis of that. So you need to ensure that you can use operational information when you generate reports for these resources. For an example, let's say I would like to know that how much these group of resources will be costing me. I will be easily able to target and able to evaluate them. So what all things that we use for them? What should you include in the solution? Azure Data Catalog that uses Azure REST API as a data source. Another choice, your Azure Active Directory administrative units over here, an Azure management group that uses parent groups to create an hierarchy. And your choice D, your Azure policy that enforces tagging rules over here. This was an easy one, right? Everybody got it right. Yeah, absolutely, guys. It's a D. Your Azure policy that enforces tagging rules over here. Definitely, guys, on the basis of the tag, you can easily identify the resource and you can include that as a part of the policy. So you use Azure policy to enforce tagging rules and conventions by creating a policy that you avoid scenario of resources being deployed to your subscription that don't have the expected tags for your organization. Instead of manually applying the tag or searching for the resources that aren't compliant, you create a policy that automatically applies that the needed tags during deployment. So if the correct tag is not provided, your deployment will be failed. Your resource management, your IT teams will need to quickly locate resources associated with the specific workloads and the environment, ownership groups, or the other important information. Organizing resources is critical to assigning organization roles and access permission for your resource management over here, right? So I hope you already have that understanding over here. And guys, side by side, after finishing that particular module, these are the URLs available that you can locate these topic in Cloud K21 Academy portal over there. You can go over there and there are certain demos and the labs available. You can take benefit and there are quizzes available as well, so that you will be proficient after completing that particular demo and the questions on the same topic over here. Now, this is your domain 1.3 that design a solution for logging and the monitoring over here. So this will be interesting one, guys, over here. Your company deploys several virtual machine on premises to Azure. your express route being deployed and configured for on-premises to Azure connectivity. Okay. Several virtual machines exhibit network connectivity issue. You need to analyze the network traffic to identify whether the packets are being allowed or denied to access the virtual machine. Now, this is the easy one, guys. So use your traffic analytics in your Azure Network Watcher to analyze your Azure network traffic. Does this meet the solution? So guys, it is true or false over here. So the answer is no. What else you required, guys? And help me with the solution that apart from this particular logs that you will be capturing, what else information that you required? Guys, think. Your two resources are trying to communicate. One of the resources is available on your on-premises network and the another resource is on cloud. You are trying to capture the packet information. Now, packet information will only give you the information whether those resources are communicating with one another or not. It will not tell you where is the problem. It will just say that these two resources are not communicating with one another. So what else that you want to think, guys, that it will give you the information. Connection troubleshoot, right? Now again, the connection troubleshoot will be in your network watcher, that it will send you the probe packets over there, and through which you will be able to again see whether the problem is from the Azure side or whether the problem is in express route over here, right? So first of all, you will be capturing the packet capture logs. That is one requirement. Another thing, you have to use connection troubleshoot as well, that you will be able to see that how many packets are sent or whether it is an intermittent issue, if some of them are getting transferred or some of them are getting failed. What else, guys, that you required? Think, guys, think closer. Guys, without log analytics, you won't be able to run the query. So log analytics is one of the requirement where you will be able to see the logs. What else you required, guys? So guys, you can use IP flow verification, right? Have you seen that particular option, guys? If you create a network watcher, let me show you side by side as well, so you will have some understanding to that. Yeah. So if you have created a network watcher service, let me quickly enable that particular service over here. IP flow logs can help in terms of knowing that which particular IP is not communicating or where is the problem, right? So you can directly target that particular requirement over here. So I'm going to enable network watcher, let's say in East US for an example. Let me enable it for my existing machine which is available. This is an option. So guys, the first thing first that you need to check about the connectivity part. So your traffic manager logs is one of the requirement that you will be collecting over here through your network security group. Now here, if you go inside your traffic analytics, guys, this is the same option that you will be getting from here, but this takes time to visualize. So I'm using this particular option. Okay. So here you will be able to capture that particular information in your existing storage account, and it will help you enabling your traffic analysis over here. Now the traffic analysis will help you, how much traffic will be coming in and going out and what frequency into your log analytics workspace. That is one requirement. But here you would like to identify the problem area of the connectivity. Where is the problem? Now connection troubleshoot will help you fixing those problems if the problem is from the Azure side, where you can target your source and destination using that, and it will give you the information between that. But IP flow will give you the information whether that particular IP is reachable or not. So for an example, if you are using the express route, you can pinpoint that particular IP, whether it's a problem within the network or maybe there is a firewall which will be blocking it. So you can directly pinpoint the IPs over here. So you know that till what, let's say if you have a path that your routing is hitting on the firewall and then hitting on your another IP, so you can also check that at what point this particular IPs are communicating and at point it is failing over here. So this will give you that required information that from your local on which particular port you will be communicating, and you can put that particular IP and you can check for the incoming and outgoing traffic. So this is which will going to help you in order to identify the problem area. So instead, use network watcher IP flow verify, which allows you to detect the traffic filtering uses VM level, and IP flow verifies if the packet is allowed or denied from the virtual machine. So this information consists of the direction, protocol, local IP and remote IP, and local port as well, and the remote port. So if the packet is denied by security group, because there could have been the possibility, guys, the connection is absolutely fine, there is a problem in the network security group. So the name of the rule denied packet is returned, and while any source of the destination IP can be chosen. So it gives you more granular information that you can point towards the problem area over here. So help administrator quickly diagnose the connectivity issues which or to internet from your on-premises environment. Guys, I hope this make all sense over here. Okay, guys, another question. You need to recommend a solution to generate a monthly report for all new Azure Resource Manager, ARM, and your resource deployment in your Azure subscription. What should you include in the recommendation over here? Azure Activity Log, your Azure Advisor, your Azure Analysis Service, or your Azure Monitor Action Groups? Think and just let me know. You need to recommend a solution to generate a monthly report for all new resources. We are talking about the deployment, guys. That let's say between the duration of 1st of Feb to 27th of February, how many new resources that you have deployed. With the help of the activity, you will be able to export this particular data for 90 days. If it is beyond 90 days, then you have to ask Microsoft to provide that information. But for 90 days duration, you can easily able to target the activity log because by default, it keeps the data for 90 days. Now, I would like to know, guys, if you are targeting D, Azure Monitor Action Group, guys, this is for on the basis of the action. So if you're targeting creating any sort of the alerts, then you would like to go for the Azure Monitor Action Group. That it will be helping you creating the actions on the event driven mechanism. I hope we all able to recall that while creating the alert, it will give you three options that on what resource that you will be creating. The first option will be the target. The another option is condition. Now condition can be created on the basis of the log, on the basis of the activity log, or on the basis of the metrics as well, like CPU utilization. And the third category is setting up the priority and the action group, that what action you will be creating. So action group is for alerts. Azure Analysis Service. Now Azure Analysis that you will be getting, that particular report will be associated with the resources specific, right? And your Azure Advisor give you the recommendation on the basis of five things. Now, what are those five things? On the basis of your performance, on the basis of your reliability, also known as high availability, and on the basis of the operational excellence, on the basis of the cost, and on the basis of the security for which we use Microsoft Defender service, right? Now, here the ask is just to know about newer resource creation, nothing else. They are not looking for any performance level recommendation, nothing like that. So the answer is A. I hope it is making sense to all. So guys, understand the ask. You might get that particular option for something else, but you have to pay for that particular service. So if I'm getting this information by default through the activity log, why I need to create an action group? Because in action group, it required an event driven mechanism. That alert is going to cost me, right? Apart from that, if you see over here, Azure Advisor, any particular recommendation is from the Microsoft side. So you have to enable Microsoft Defender for the security and further mechanism. So if ask would have been the security, then it would be Azure Advisor, and to be specific, this is Microsoft Defender for Cloud, also known as your security center. Or if the ask is to trigger that particular report on a particular event, then it could have been the action group. Or if it will ask for the analysis report, then it will be Azure Analysis Service. Currently it is not required. Okay guys, so similarly guys, at the end of the module you can go to your cloud K21 Academy portal, you can see some demos and you can do some practice question on the basis of that.
So guys, I hope you really liked our session, and if you have any kinds of doubts, you can please comment down below and our team will reach out to you. And do not forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you are really intrigued by the kind of terms used and you want to learn more about it, then we have something really, really special for you. We have this free class on Microsoft Azure Solutions Architect certification, that is AZ305. And if you want to learn more about it, then you just have to log on to k21academy.com/Azure SA02. In this session, in this free class, you'll be learning about why you should be learning Azure Cloud, your paths to learn Azure Solution Architect Expert certification. You'll be getting to know the difference between AZ303, AZ304, AZ305, and a lot many insightful things. So if you want to do this, then all you have to do is just log on to k21academy.com/Azure SA02. After that, you'll be seeing this kind of interface. Just click on book your free seat now and select your availability according to the event date mentioned. Add your name, add your phone number, add your email, and every detail will be conversed to you via our mail. And after that, just proceed ahead. On the extreme right, you'll be seeing this kind of link. So just copy this link, save it to your calendars, and I will see you in the next class. Till then, take care and keep hustling.